And I am the foster youth liaison. This is Debbie.
I'm Debbie Anderson. I work in the outreach department, going out to high schools, continuation schools, helping students get everything done to become ready for college.
And I'm Vanessa Bell. I work with the EOPS program. I'm a counselor there. And our program basically tracks you from the time you start school to the time you graduate. And we just help you get there by planning classes, making sure you have all the proper support in place.
So these are the faces, a few of the faces that you'll see that are part of the Foster Youth Committee. So we'll assist you from beginning to end. And just be advised, we are here for informational purposes only. We are professionals in our profession. So just, if you have any questions regarding anything, just go ahead and contact us personally regarding your personal situation. So now we can go ahead and
okay. I'm going to go ahead and start. I brought a folder for all of you to take with you, and I'm going to just pass them that way. So you can go ahead and grab one. It's going to have some information in it, but we'll be giving you more to add to it. So once everybody has one. Need one?
Sorry.
Oh, you don't need one?
Okay.
Extra? Okay. First thing I'm going to talk about is one of the things you have to think about if you're going to attend college is what do you want to go for? Like, what do I want to major in? What do I want to study? We have both academic programs, but we also have really some hands-on career technical education programs. So one of the papers I put in here has the girl on front. The bottom has our outreach phone number if you had questions, general questions, and you didn't know who to ask. You are very welcome to call us. We know a lot about all different departments on campus. But more importantly, on the back is a lot of information for you on, like, what do we offer? We have like a ton of degrees and certificates. You don't have to go for a full degree, which is the general ed part, the electives, as well as the major portion. Say, for instance, you wanted to do something like criminal justice. You'd be taking classes in criminal justice, but then you have the electives, the general ed part of that you would have to take in order to get a degree. But we also have certificates. So on the back here, you're going to notice they have some parentheses with red letters next to them. The ones that say JSC, so if you look at AutoCAD, it's on the left-hand column, it says JSC, that's a job skills certificate. That, you're only going to be taking a couple of classes for that. You're going to get a certificate. The hope is that you'd get that certificate and then be able to take it to an employer and say, look, I've got training in this. I'm hireable. The next one that I want you to look at would be a certificate of achievement. So if you look down on the right-hand column, look at retail management. It says CA, that's a certificate of achievement. That's going to be a higher number of classes. That's, you know, maybe 8 or 10 classes as opposed to just a few with a job skill certificate. A little more intensive training, a little more solid when it comes to taking it to an employer, but ultimately get a certificate, hand it to an employer, say, look, I've been trained, I'm hireable. So those are our two job skills type, our certificates, but then we have degrees, AA, AS, those are associate's degrees, and those have the information where you're going to be taking what your major, what your area of study interest is, as well as that general ed, like the A through G requirements in high school. You guys remember that? Same idea that we do. So I always tell students, this is homework. You have to give it some thought. This is all online as well, so you can just click on it and read what the classes would be, all kinds of information about each one of these. So depending on what you guys want to do, and everybody is going to be different. You're all going to have a different path, a different area of interest, and we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to pick what really suits you. One thing I'd like to really suggest to students is, if you've never really given it any thought to what you want to do, ask people that know you pretty well. What do you see me doing? What do you think I would be good at? You never know what they're going to tell you. They might say, oh, you would be a fantastic teacher, when you maybe never thought of that in your whole life, like, I don't know that I really like kids so much. Well, you don't have to be a kid's teacher, you could be older. But the thing is, if people know you well, they might see something different in you that you see in yourself, which just may open up some other possibilities for you. I also tease students and say, don't ask your friends that like to be jokesters, because they're gonna say, like, you know, you might be 5 foot nothing and say, oh, you need to play basketball for the Lakers. Probably not gonna happen, you know? So like, kind of take that a little bit seriously. Every program you ever would go to, whether it be college, a training program, you have to apply. You have to put in some information. So one of the cards in your folder has our steps, what we have to do at BC. And the first one is an application. These are all free. You don't have to charge, you're not charged for anything. First step's an application online, easy, relatively easy to do. Takes about 20 minutes or so. Once you're done with your application, you will then receive a BC ID number and a BC email address. You'll be able to set a password, so you will be able to log into the portal. Just like you had a student portal in high school, you'll have a student portal in college. The next requirement's an orientation. That you can do either online or in person. We have them every other Tuesday evening on campus in person. I like the in-person ones. Just because you can ask more questions, people will ask questions. It's interactive, where the one online is you're gonna just read and then answer a quiz and be done. So for those of you that like streamlined, do that. I like people, so I like to do them in person. The next step is an assessment. It's a placement test. We need to know where your math, your reading comprehension, and your writing levels are in order to better help you know what to take. So that's what we have to do as an assessment. This has to be done on campus in our assessment center. And if you come for assessment, you have to make sure you bring a picture ID. And I really suggest anytime you come on campus for anything, whether you have to go to financial aid, EOP&S, admissions and records, you really need to bring a picture ID with you. So just kind of make that your habit when you come on, because if you're asked for it, and they can't give you information without it, then you'll be stuck. The assessment is, like I said, the 3 parts. I always really suggest students take your time. Another card I put in here are some areas that you can do some kind of practice questions to just kind of know how the assessment's laid out, what kind of questions will be on it, so that you will maybe do a little bit better than you might have. You know, preparing for something always gives you that little bit of an edge. That's something to think about. On the back of this card, the card that has the steps, has the information on when we're open for assessment. The times are windows to arrive, not we're open. So if you look on Mondays, 8:15 to 5:30, that doesn't mean we close at 5:30 on Mondays. We're open later on Mondays. You can arrive anytime between 8:15 and 5:30, and we make sure that you're done before we have to turn out the lights and turn the computers off. Now, starting now, we are not open on Fridays during the summer, so kind of avoid the whole Friday thing. You'll be quite disappointed, or not. Maybe, you know, you like to come on campus and not have to take the assessment. The next step is going to be a new student workshop and an education plan. I'm an education advisor, so one of the things that I do is I work with students and look at their test scores. I like to look at their high school transcripts, and we talk about what's your goal? What do you want to major in? What certificate do you want to get? I put them together kind of like a puzzle, and then we determine what classes you should sign up for. It's very individual. Like I said, you all are going to have a different path that you're going to take, different classes you might be taking, but ultimately we want you to end up where you want to end up, you know, out in the working world doing the kind of job that your heart tells you what you want to do. One of the things I like to also mention to students is don't pick a job that's just going to pay you well. Pick a job that's going to feed your spirit, because then you're going to walk in every day and be ready to go. You're not going to walk in every day, you know, like I have to go to work and oh man. You're going to walk in knowing that I'm doing something that I feel like is really good for our world, good for me. I'm doing what I feel like I'm good at. So that may take a little bit of time to kind of determine what that is. And we have supportive services through our counseling department that can help you figure that out. So it's not like just all on your shoulders, like, oh man, now I have to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. We're not going to do that. We really want to help you along the way. And with all the steps that we do, we definitely want to help you with that as well. So a couple of the other things that are in here, we have a great athletics program if you've ever wanted to play sports. We also have a lot of PE classes. Does anybody know what archery is? What is it?
Bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow. So the first time I was on campus and saw a student with a bow and arrow, I thought, okay, that's weird. But then I asked them, what are you doing with a bow and arrow? And they said, I'm taking an archery class. And so it was like, oh, we have archery at BC, that's fun. Just as something different to take for PE. We have swimming, we have basketball, volleyball, weight training, all kinds of different classes you can take. In here, I also put in a map of our campus. It looks rather daunting. It's not. It's kind of built in a circle, and all of the buildings are labeled. You can come in. I put a couple of red arrows. One red arrow, the first red arrow is towards the top on this little kind of a loop. That's where the administration building is, admissions and records, as well as the welcome center. You can come in here and we will guide you to wherever it is you need to go. If you're there for assessment, we can guide you to where assessment is. If you're there to go to financial aid, which is my other arrow, is where financial aid is, upstairs at the back of this student Center for Student Success building. So the map is really valuable to you, but first thing would be, if you really want someone to guide you, just come in the Welcome Center. We're happy to do that. There's a couple of things. There's a lot of wonderful resources on campus. Things like tutoring, a math lab, a writing center, lots and lots of support. We want to make sure our students are really well into their classes, doing a great job, doing the best they can do. But I'm not a real huge fan of math, just saying. I would need to have tutoring and go to the math lab if I were taking a math class again. It's been a long time. And I have my trusty phone that all I do is plug things in and it gives me answers instead of me having to do it. So we have a lot of support like that to help our students be successful. And that's our goal. We want you in the door with a plan, and then we want you to be successful and move out. Like, you know, we want you to move on with your life and do what you really want to do. And that's really our goal. Our counseling department is there for that. We have tons of support in our many different offices. But just know, if you have questions and I don't know who to call, on the bottom of this one is our number that you can definitely call, and we can either answer the question, we will know it probably, but if we don't, we know exactly people to then guide you. And we don't just let people drop, because that's not what happens. We really work with students. Our admissions and records department are there to help you make sure everything is in place. All of your records are kept really confidential. We have something called FERPA. It's the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. That's why we have to have you bring an ID. If you need for us to look something up specific about you, is that we need to make sure you are who you say you are, because you could walk in, because I don't know you, you could tell me you're somebody else, and I'm gullible. I probably would believe you. You have an honest face, and I would think I could, you know, if we didn't have FERPA in place, I would possibly give you someone else's information, which I don't want to do. So that's why we have you bring ID, but we respect your privacy. We don't sell your information to Sprint to get phones, but it's just important to know that you're respected as a student, and we do have a lot of supportive services that are there to help you. So I'm going to pass it to Vanessa, who will give you more information on great supportive services.
Yes, and I brought some flyers for EOPS. Take those across there. And I also brought some applications as well. So our program works with students one-on-one. In college, you pick your classes, you pick your major. So you don't necessarily have to come see a counselor every semester. So with our program, you would be seeing a counselor every semester, and not just once, but 3 times. And why we do that is just to make sure that, like Debbie said, you have all the support services you need. Majors change. If you come in thinking you want to do child development, but then you kind of change your mind, that's what we're there for. We're there to make sure that you update your major and you do what you want to do. It is perfectly normal to change your major. Don't think like, oh my gosh, this is the third, fourth time I'm changing it. I changed it 3 times before I decided what I wanted to do. And I first went with the money thing, you know, I want to do pre-med, I want to do, you know, biology. Once I took that biology class, yeah, that wasn't for me. I realized I cannot deal with blood, do all that, so I'm like, definitely not going to do pre-med. But it just took taking classes that I, counted, of course, towards gen ed or what I was interested in to really find out what I wanted to do, and talking to a counselor, because there's a lot of material on there. So please don't get overwhelmed when you are looking what the requirements are, because that's what we're there for. As counselors, we're there to help you understand all of that and to show you what those requirements are. So our program is really a counseling program. A lot of students say we're a book voucher program, which that is one of the services we do provide. But the main thing I like to think is really the successful part of it is the counseling part. With counseling, we offer priority registration as well. So you get to register before anybody else on campus to make sure that you're getting the classes that you need. So we will plan from beginning to graduation date, depending on the career that you select, what courses you're going to take. Of course, we change that as things happen to change, life happens, we understand that. So we will make those adjustments with you. But that's why the priority registration, to make sure that what we plan, you're able to get on that day. The other part of it is book vouchers. So that is extra financial aid on top of what you might be getting already for financial aid. Books can get quite expensive, so any little bit or extra helps with that. And that we work with the bookstore to get you, we've gotten, I think, up to $350 for students to purchase books for the bookstore. Of course, we also provide tutoring. So tutoring you get as a BC student for free, 1 session per class, but with our program you can get an additional session if you wanted that. So if you figure you might need a little bit more tutoring with math, we can definitely provide that so that you're seeing someone twice a week instead of the once a week. We also have peer mentors. So peer mentors that work with us are students just like you. Most of the ones we have right now are nursing students, so they are taking those prerequisite classes, so they can tell you what it's like to be in a biology class, history class. If you have questions like, hey, what math did you take? Which instructor did you take? It's always kind of great feedback just to get from other students what their experience was in the class. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll have that experience, but at least you'll kind of have a heads up as to what to expect for the class. The other cool thing we do is we do university trips. So every semester we try to visit a different campus, whether it's, we've been to CSU Fresno, Cal State San Luis Obispo, UCLA, and we do that just to get you to see other campuses of where you could possibly transfer to. Especially if you're considering a particular area of study. For example, Fresno has a great criminology program and agricultural program. So things like that just to get you to explore. And we also try within those trips to plan for cultural activities. We've taken our students to like the Museum of Tolerance in LA, and that's just to get you to experience other things that we don't get to do every day, especially during the semester. You know, we get busy with classes, so we usually like to do those on a Friday just to get you, out of Bakersfield for that day. Once you're ready to graduate, we also purchase the cap and gown for you. So that's something that we do. In addition, we do a recognition banquet so that you can celebrate with whoever supported you plus yourself, and we provide a medal for you to wear at graduation that you completed our program throughout your stay at BC. So these are the services that we offer. Really, to apply is just filling out the application. As long as you qualify for financial aid and you fill that out, that's the way we verify it. So if you filed your FAFSA, we just check that and that you're enrolled in classes and you would qualify for EOPS.
For eligibility, I know that it's 12 units, but I heard that it was different for former foster youth. So
Correct.
Okay,
we limit that to 9 minimum
units?
of 9
Okay.
units. So 12 is full-time, and then 9 would be kind of part-time. So Any other questions? And what we're doing with our program is we're actually moving to a kind of case management where each of the students that we have in our program will have a particular counselor that they can stay in contact with. And we do that already. So if you have an appointment with us and you miss it, you will get an email from us like, hey, I saw you missed your appointment. And that's just because we want to know, is it something going on that we can work with you? Because we definitely don't want to penalize you for not doing your contacts if there's something that's going on. And we want to make sure that we get your classes situated and we get in contact with your professors so that, you know, the GPA and grades aren't affected by something that's going on. Sometimes students don't know that they can withdraw from classes, you know, what are the consequences of that? So we just want to make sure we get you that information. Additionally, I mean, just having that counselor you can talk to is always nice because you don't have to explain yourself to another person every time you come in if it's somebody different. So that's why we kind of like our case management approach is you can always see, if you're seeing me as a counselor and you want to continue seeing me, you can keep seeing me for all three of your contacts so that we'll stay in contact pretty much from the time that you start your journey at BC until you graduate from BC or transfer. Any questions? Okay.
So I'm going to show you a video for those of you who have never been to the Bakersfield College campus. You guys will have an idea as to where financial aid is.
We're happy with all of our classes.
Thank you. This is the Haley side of Bakersfield College.
I wonder where the financial aid office is.
Hey man, you need some help?
Yeah man, I'm actually trying to find the financial aid office. Do you happen to know where it is?
Oh yeah, look. So you go straight up here, you see this large building in front of you? It's gonna say CSS on the side of it. You go past the building, up the stairs. On your right hand side, you can see some glass doors. You go to the glass doors, and on your left hand side, that's where the financial aid office is.
Right, perfect.
Oh hey, how can I help you?
Just a minute. Did I just see you?
Oh, been here all day?
Okay. Anyways, I'm looking for the financial aid office. Does this happen to be it?
Yes, you're in the right place. Is this your first time here?
Yeah, first time here. I'm a first time freshman. I just need to take care of a few things, so I just thought I'd stop by.
Okay, let me show you around.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, so this is our front counter for any general questions. You come in, type in your BCID number here, you take a seat. Once your turn is up, we'll call you up and we'll answer any questions that you may have. So on this side, we have some computers where they're pretty much working stations. If you need to maybe fill out an application, print out some forms, you can get through that. Get some assistance from our financial aid staff here. So this is our financial aid lab. It's the same procedure as the front counter. You come in with your BCID number, sign in, take a seat, and we'll call you when we're ready. In here, students can also get assistance filling out their application, but more importantly, they can also see a financial aid education advisor. Whether you want to add or drop a class and see how that can impact your financial aid, you can do that here. Or even if you just wanted to develop an educational plan, our financial aid education advisors can help you with that. So basically, that is our financial aid office. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Well, actually, I do. I have a few questions I'd like to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that I applied for financial aid, how will I be getting my money? Will I be coming in here to get it? Will I get it at home in the mail? Or will you be giving it to me?
Good question. So the way that you will get your money is that we're going to send out a check to the mailing address that we have on file. So you got to make sure that the mailing address is correct.
Okay, will I be getting all that money at once?
No, so your payments will actually be broken into 3 different disbursements. The first disbursement will be 30%. The second disbursement will be 20%. And lastly, you will get a disbursement of 50%.
I have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
How will I know if there's anything else I need to turn in for financial aid?
So we always encourage our students to check their Inside BC to check for any additional requirements. Once you go into your Inside BC under your financial aid tab, if there's any additional requirements, you will see that on the right-hand side. On there, you can check what requirements we are asking you for or anything else that you may need to submit.
Well, thank you. That answers all of my questions. If I have any additional questions, I now know where to come.
Well, I hope that was helpful. Remember, if you do have any questions, feel free to come back.
Thank you. I will.
How do we turn the thing on? You press the power button twice. Skip green light.
So a lot of you might be wondering, what type of financial aid can you get? So what we offer as far as Title IV funding, which is federal aid, is the Pell Grants. We offer the direct loans. You also get the SCOG and work study, federal work study. How could I forget that one? So federal work study is something that you would do if you would like to work on campus and get paid through the federal financial aid. So in order to get federal work study, you would have to go down to the job placement center, and then they would set up for you to do interviews and everything like that to possibly, get into federal work study. Your first step is stating yes that you are interested in federal work study. If not, then you'll just state no. That doesn't mean that you are completely exempt from getting federal work study. If you do decide to change your mind, you can go into the financial aid office and fill out a form. Now the state aid that we offer is the BOG waiver. So the BOG waiver covers your tuition only. So some of you may see on your file, hey, I have $1,288, when am I going to get that? That is just the BOG waiver. That only is there to cover your tuition, so you wouldn't see any of that money in your pocket. But the good thing is anything else that applies to your account will be sent to you in a check. So if you get the Pell Grant, you get the Cal Grant, Chafee Grant, which is available to foster youth students, or of course EOPS and the CalWorks, anything like that you can receive from them, that'll all be going to you in a paper check. So basically the process of financial aid is the first step. You apply for the FAFSA, or in some cases the DREAM Act application, and then once that's submitted, we load our FAFSAs every Monday or Tuesday. And then we'll see if maybe you are selected for verification. So you always want to make sure you are checking your Inside BC portal in case you do need to submit in some additional documents to our office. So if you do, then you'll go ahead and get those documents into our office. It takes us anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks to review to make sure everything is satisfied. And if we have to make corrections, we do go into your FAFSA, make those corrections for you on your FAFSA, and then once again it'll come in the next week. The next step is the school. You'll receive the award notification after you've been fully awarded your financial aid, and then the check will be sent to you through the mail. So we don't do direct deposit, and we do not have the one card anymore. Some of you may have known to use the one card, but that's no longer available to students. So as I have mentioned, there's the Chafee Grant. How many of you guys know about the Chafee Grant? No one? Okay. So that's actually an additional $5,000 for the entire academic year. And that is sent directly to us, and you would come in and pick up that check. So every cent of that check is to you directly. So you would come in and pick up that check. Now, how do you apply for that Chafee Grant check? You would actually apply through the web grants. So I don't know, do you guys know about Cal Grant by any chance? Okay, so that's through CA. I have the web address somewhere.
CSC, student aid.
It's ca.gov. I have written that website down. I know I did.
It's csac.ca.gov.
Yes, csac.ca.gov. So if you guys can, you want to write that down.
Say that one more time.
So that's csac.ca.gov. So those of you who are eligible for it, as you are eligible if you haven't reached your 22nd birthday by July 1st, a current or former foster youth who is a dependent or ward of the court living in foster care between the ages of 16 and 18. Youth are or were in kin gap, non-related legal guardianship, or were adopted, are eligible only if the youth was dependent or ward of the court living in foster care between the ages of 16 and 18. So the grant is an additional additional state aid, and we confirm automatically through, it's confirmed through the Department of Social Services that you were in fact, eligible for that. So the first step would be to apply through there, and then they'll automatically verify if you were in fact part of that category, and if so, then you move forward into the next process. Another factor is you do have to have your FAFSA on file, and you do also have to be maintaining your satisfactory academic progress. To be maintaining your satisfactory academic progress, you do have to have at least a 67% completion rate. So what that means is, say you've attempted 10 units, but you've only passed 5. You have a 50% completion rate. So what you want to do is have attempted 10 units and passed all 10 units. That way you have 100% completion rate. But of course, sometimes that doesn't happen. There's other situations. Yes?
If you drop that before the WD, does it count against you as a completion rate?
No, if it's before the drop date, then you'll be fine.
Okay.
So it's just not counted at all. But if you do get a W, that does count. That does count towards your completion rate. You do also have to maintain a 2.0 GPA. So it's 67% completion and a 2.0 GPA in order to be maintaining your satisfactory academic progress. Now, if you happen to not be meeting your satisfactory academic progress, say you attended the spring semester, you didn't do so well. So now you're below satisfactory academic progress. That doesn't make you exempt from financial aid right off the bat. We do give you a warning. So you attempt the fall semester and you still didn't do so good the fall semester. So then come the summer that you want to attend, you will no longer be eligible for financial aid. At that point, you will become suspended from financial aid. But what you can do, and what a lot of people don't know that is an option for you, is appeal to be eligible for financial aid again. The appeal is not a guarantee. It is case by case, so it depends on what the appeal committee decides. But in order to apply for the appeal, if that is something that you need to do, you would register for it online through your Inside BC portal. So once you log in through your Inside BC portal, you'll scroll down to the middle section where you'll see financial aid. You'll click on that financial aid link and it'll take you right to the workshops that are available. So right now we do have summer appeals available. Once again, that's only if you need to do an appeal. And then you can go ahead and appeal for the summer semester. And right now we do not have fall available as of yet, but summer is available to appeal for. So don't think that you're completely done. You know, if that's your case, don't be down in the dumps about it. Just try to do that appeal and maybe you will be eligible for financial aid again. And the good news is if you are eligible for the appeal, we can also reinstate the Chafee Grant as well. So with the Chafee Grant, like I said, you just apply through that website. And then I have a report that I get generated. I look at that at least once a week, and then I see who the new students are on the roster. Since you guys would be new going into the Chafee Grant, it's not a guarantee that you would get it this award year. But if someone, because the priority for Chafee Grant are the continuing students who've had it. So they'll continue to get it. And then say students, drop, are done. So then it'll go to the next student. So it is first come, first serve. So if we have the funds available, then it'll go to you. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Nothing?
So if you do become suspended from financial aid, is that an indefinite thing until you do appeal? Or is there like a period of time that you become eligible again?
It's a good question. So if you become suspended from financial aid, you have two choices. Either try to pick it up on your own or submit the appeal and then continue to try to do good until you don't need the appeal anymore. So it's not indefinite, but say there's some students who attended in 2005, right? They bombed for 2 years straight. So they have 50 attempted units, 0 completed. So that's a 0% completion rate, and then that's a 0 GPA. So then they start taking their classes again. You're adding to your attempted units. So say you take 6 units, you're adding to that 50 attempted. So now it's 56 attempted, and then you pass them, and only 6 passed. So that's where the appeal would be good for you, because it would take you a while to get yourself back up to the satisfactory academic progress. But if your case is where you just need a summer semester, all you need is 6 units to get yourself back up to the academic progress, maybe an appeal isn't for you, because you do have the BOG waiver still available. So you'll be able to get that BOG waiver, which will cover your tuition. And then we have, I'm not sure, is EOPS based off of SEP as well?
No, it's not.
Okay, so if you're eligible for the EOPS program, then you would get the voucher to cover your books. So you just would have that entire summer covered based off of that, and then wait for that to roll through, your grades to roll over, and then come fall semester, you would then be in satisfactory academic progress again. So it just depends on what your situation is. And if you do have questions about your status, you can always come into the office or contact me. I did bring my cards as well, so if you guys have questions about your own file, I can answer them. But if you call my direct line. So, oh, and I also brought these bags here, bunch of so I'll kind of just show you what's in the bag so you don't have to really go through it. So we have a hamper, a highlighter, a calculator for calculus, we also provided some Debbie.
Oh, that is a bracelet that is a flash drive.
Flash drive.
So it comes apart. While you show them that.
So this here, it has a bunch of little.
And you won't lose it.
It has a bunch of things in here to help you manage your money. So budgeting wisely. Also, if you haven't applied for financial aid and you need to create an FSA ID, because we no longer use PINs. I'm not sure, you guys look really young, so maybe you don't know about the PINs that we had to use back in the day. So right now we're using an FSA ID to sign your FAFSAs and to log in. So if you haven't created this yet, this is the step-by-step on how to create your FSA ID. And then this is just a brief of student terms and agreement, just so you know what our terms are in financial aid and what our guidelines and what we go by. Financial aid lingo, in case anything I'm saying is confusing, you can look at this. And then fund your future. And then there's also pages in here, if you're apartment searching, what is your priority in an apartment? What are you looking for in an apartment? Maybe you're looking for a 2-bedroom. What area it's in? Also, when you're budgeting your money, is it wise to buy a coffee every day, or is it wiser just to get a can of coffee and make your coffee at home every day? So it's stuff like that in here. And we'll also be hosting cash course presentations to give you more in-depth information on how to be more responsible with your money. And that's not just for foster youth students, that's for all students. So that's the financial aid portion. I am going to go over some other information as to what Bakersfield College offers. So we also have the Office of Student Life, and there they have the food pantry, they have hygiene products, they have housing. So if you're looking for a roommate, they can place you with someone, and additional assistance through there too. So say someone comes into the office here in Covenant, and they're expressing to you that, and they would have to be a student with BC, but they're expressing to you that they need hygiene products and they can't afford it. They do supply emergency hygiene products. They also supply emergency food bags and baskets. Once a month they do offer food baskets and stuff that you can go ahead and get. And every day they offer what's called the daily bread. So you can go onto campus and you can get 3 pieces of bread from Panera Bread that are offered through the Office of Student Life. So there's always going to be food for you there. And like I said, if you do run into an emergency where you run out of food, they can help you with that as well. So I went ahead and brought some of their pamphlets from Office of Student Life. There is also this Kern Value Card, which gets you up to 10 to 50% off of a lot of things that you buy every day. Let me pass these down, please. And that's $15 that you would pay at the beginning of when you register with Bakersfield College. That's the KVC. You can opt out of paying for this and not receiving it, but I do advise you get it because it is beneficial for you, especially if you go and if you want to go to the movies, or if you eat somewhere like maybe Chipotle or something, you can get an additional percentage off of your bill there. And then we also offer mental health services and just regular health services. They have over-the-counter medication that you can get in the health center. You can get tampons, pads, condoms, anything that's there available, and it's free to you. And you don't even have to be a BC student to get the condoms, just an FYI. They actually have a center, so if you were to look up where to get free condoms, Bakersfield College would be listed because you can just go in and get them. So this is some of the other stuff that they handed out to me to give to you guys. This is the Student Health and Wellness Center. They also have the crisis services. This is not for you don't have to be a BC student for this either. They help with problem solving skills, anxiety, coping skills, and all of that. And then we have the Student Health 101 here. And these little emergency kits. There you go. No problem. It's a lot of information I'm just throwing at you guys right now. And so BC does have a child care program as well. It's for child ages 2 to 5 years old. The 2s are currently full, and there is a wait list, but they didn't give me an exact amount of how far the wait list is. However, your priority based on your income and your household size. So if you have the larger your household, the lesser your income, you would be bumped up into having the child care. That doesn't mean go and have 10 kids. Not promoting making babies here.
I do have a question about the financial aid situation. Let's say that I was suspended and I'm trying to reimburse it and reestablish it, and I'm taking classes this upcoming fall, and let's say per se that I pass all of them with like good grades and I get my GPA right up there again. Would the financial aid reimburse the next spring, the upcoming spring, or do I have to wait a while in order for that to happen?
So it would be after the fall semester. So say after fall is what made you satisfactory academic progress for spring. So you would be awarded for spring.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right, so that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you.